the charge last week.
All right, so as we move on a bit further, let's see which map we're going to be playing on in this series. Again, a best of one series with overtime potential. We've seen quite a few of them, and we're going to go to Villa. That's Fnatic's final choice as they banned out Oregon and take us to yet another fairly technical map. Does this make sense to go to Villa when you're facing off against Cyclops?
Well, yeah, you take. I'm reading.
It's always a little bit. Okay, so there's this thing, right? We're in best of ones. It's often something people talk about. It's why we see a lot of Oregon coming out. Normally, you wouldn't want to pick a map. You don't want to pick the map. Let's say it like that, where it's heavily defense sided, because you're likely to start out on the attack. Cyclops would be crazy if they start choosing the attack right now, because then you would be given Fnatic and the map choice and the best side. So,
but it's APAC, they attack.
Yeah, APAC attacks, but we saw last week around that isn't always the case, and it can also suddenly turn into a very defense-sided day. So it will really depend on how these teams come out. But I'm always a bit worried when I see a Villa pick coming out, considering the defense-sidedness of it. Same goes for Team Park. So,
Fluke, how are the numbers? They're reading up.
Having a quick scan, because I don't remember the last time Fnatic really played Villa. I don't think they've played it across.
How far have you gone so far?
Let me join.
Well, I'm having a quick look through all the phases here and seeing when it's generally come up, because as you said, Villa's an interesting map because in a way it plays against the pulse of the region. This is a very attack-sided region. We saw it once on the Playday the other day with Scars, unfortunately losing it and missing out. But it was generally heavily defensive sided, which it's peculiar to say that it's a rarity, seeing as it has preference in the other regions. But I guess it's down to, as you said, the fact that you're kind of filtering and feeding a swing over to your opponents here and seeing how things could go. No, we haven't really seen it across any other phases from either of these two teams, as far as I can see.
Hap may have found it.
We have.
Once.
July 9th, 2020. Fnatic played it against Talon, and they lost 5-7.
Yes.
Wow, a close
Start of
one.
phase 2.
And that's against Talon, yeah. Start of phase 2 of stage 1.
And they started on the attack there.
So.
And they started on the attack there. So it's keep that in mind.
Interesting. It was a very close game, and Talon back then were not as effective as they are today. This was the Fnatic of old and their old mindset too. So how we can gauge that game and its impact on this series today is fairly difficult, if you ask me. But yeah, in general, I'm quite excited for this. Do you believe that there is a team that really has the advantage coming into this hap?
Fnatic looks way better this stage than they did last stage.
Yeah.
I have to give them that. They look like a new team. They're playing differently. They learn to live with the ping difference, as that was their main complaint for a long time. They now manage to play around it, and it shows, right? Might not directly into the results, as they ended up 2-3, just like they did in phase 2, I believe, of stage 1. But they definitely look a bit more consistent compared to what they did before, because how many of those games that Fnatic lost were actually where they were in front and suddenly they threw the whole lead was quite a bit of them. So I'm having some hopes here for Fnatic. They look good. They look better than they did before. They should be able to close it out, in my opinion.
Even though the last time these two played, it was a 7-0 victory on Coastline for Fnatic, which was a huge thing for them. But
that's true.
I don't believe that's going to happen again, will it?
You would be surprised. Cyclops have also found their recent history outside of this at the aforementioned APAC North finals. They played it as the first map against Guts Gaming and took it 8-6, starting on, I believe, their defense by the looks of it. Started on their defense, locked in 5 there. So a 5-1 as their opening split against... started on the attack even. My apologies. Cyclops started on the attack. They got 2 attacks down and then managed to lock it off. So it went the distance.
Possibilities here for this matchup. Now, what does this mean for Cyclops? A win today points-wise, Statsman. Where does it push them up?
Well, with the placeholder standings I created, they're already on first place for stage 2, considering they had the highest round differential at the start of this week. So, they were already place 1. For them, it's just more so they want to be ending up top 3 at the end of this stage. not just for this, but for the 2020 overall season, because that would push them towards the finals in December, and they are on their way. They're being challenged by Fav currently, who are quite close on the points. So Cyclops, they need to get these wins in, and they need to get more points than Fav for the top 3. And I honestly don't think that the major will be a problem for them, given their results in stage 1, if they continue like this.
So on the brink of that 3rd place. Now, 3rd place kind of guarantees you to go to your league finals, right? You go to the major, obviously in top 6, top 3 will make it to the APAC finals, because it includes the entirety of the region and not just APAC North itself. And on top of all of that, the most important thing of all is SI. The points that you get out of this and the lock-in position that you get, that, I don't know, is Fnatic even possible to come in?
Yes, of course they are able to win it, because let's just keep it like this. I'm just going to quickly Google what the number 1 points are, because I have to say, I do not know that from the top of my head. I'm sorry. Okay, so 1st place would grant you 285 extra points on the 225 you would be getting from simply qualifying. So 510 points, that would be in total. That would be enough to, if I'm currently looking, to put them up onto 8th place, tied up with Cloud9, who of course are going to get some extra points based on their current standings. But that does mean they would be ending up in the top 16. So winning would be huge. If they become 2nd, however, the points start dripping. It's going to be 390 points, which would be putting you up around the 10th place, together with Giants, who are also going to be getting more points. So you cannot completely count them out yet. So you will be thinking about like competing with the Mexican team, Astral Esports, I believe, who are currently on that point score as well. So 2nd place would be good. And then 3rd place, well, if you reach that, I think it's over, actually. So they need to get a top 2 spot if they want to be qualifying themselves for the 6th Invitational.
All right, Fluke, your final thought on this game. How will it go? Which side?
I'm very curious. I've had a conspiracy theory. The last time they were here on Villa and it went to 8-7. This is just a quick throwaway. Cyclops, all of them had an above 1 rating. All of them had a positive KD. How did it go to the wire? I'm really curious to see their Villa game now.
All right, let's toss it over to our casters. Jessichu have been awaiting us for game number 1, Fnatic versus Cyclops on Villa. All yours.
Oh, we got a nice little fly coming there with APAC North flashing up as well. Welcome, boys and girls, back to the start of APAC. Kicking things off with me and, of course, your girl, Jess. Time for a bit of a banger, I think, given last time round we saw that 7-0 stomp into the dirt by Fnatic. Hopefully, Cyclops have got something to show for us here today. But Fnatic, equally, after a pretty dismal last stage, really want to show up in this one. They want to finish Phase 2 strong and get themselves towards that major.
Yeah, that major is the big talking point for a lot of these teams, but also for a lot of them that are on the lower end of the board. You heard Hap speak about it, you heard all of the analysts speak about it. They actually want to get off the bottom of the leaderboard. Surprise, surprise. So, you know, it's really good that these teams are able to put up a good fight here, especially with Fnatic having a little bit of wavy results.
Definitely. So, kicking things off with our operator bans. Let's see what comes out here on Villa. I'm going to say a Thatcher should probably be the sort of thing that I look towards and go, hey, it's got to come out at some point. But we are going to kick things off with an Ace. A ban that we haven't seen all that much, despite the rampant popularity of that operator in so many games between all regions, Jess. And there's that Thatcher I was thinking of.
Yeah, not a surprise to see that go out. I actually am not surprised to see Ace go out on a map like Villa. The opportunity to be able to deny C4s below, etc. It's really dangerous to get to the wall and use a thermite. It's why we used to see Habana bans before the introduction of Ace. Now we're seeing the Ace bans. What a surprise. Clash going off the board, also not really surprised. A lot of shield play here in APAC. If you're not familiar with the region, a lot of teams love it both on attack and defense. And guess what? Melusi bans, they're becoming the popularity now that all the teams realize that almost every single damn team since her introduction will play her pretty much 100%.
More down to the stacking of those bulletproof gadgets that teams absolutely love to bring. You're looking at things like the Goyos, like the Evil Eyes coming out as well. Of course, the Melusi's come under that as well. Sure, you can destroy them by getting nice and close, but you've also got to consider that you need to be able to get close. And normally teams will place them in very precarious situations that if you do try and approach them, well, guess what? Chances are you are pretty much guaranteed to be screwed. So completely understandable why you want to see that taken away, given that it has things like the impact nades or the C4s coming out as well.
There's a mirror, Des. There's a mirror. A mirror on Villa, for me, is like terrifying. And the reason I say it's terrifying, you were talking about bulletproof. This just adds yet another layer to how long it's going to take the attackers to get in. If you cannot deal with the mirror, there's no Thatcher, so you're forced to go below. Let's be frank, Fnatic are great vertical team. You know, Texi does great work on the IQ consistently. We know that they've got that buck to play with as well. They can go below, they can displace these mirrors. But let's say Cyclops decide to challenge them vertically. Throw some people down there. You're delayed even more. I mean, Villa's one of those maps that's tricky. We're seeing yet again another extended holdout into statue of where that mirror will also play because they make the assumption that Fnatic will go in through bedroom. I actually think Fnatic will start below, given the IQ. That's my assumption. We'll see exactly, but no, it looks like they are spawning all the way over towards the northeast. So maybe not.
You imagine you want to play some form of own game up there, and at the minute it's Suzuki playing below on the Wamai. Can't imagine that stays up here too long, given those gadgets do recharge as the round progresses. Don't want to be in a spot where you're losing that one too early, or guess what? Pain, especially with the number of grenades that can come singing through. Without the Sophia here, I guess there's less in that sort of form to worry about. As you mentioned, the butt will come through for them, and looking at that as a potential viable option for the vertical destruction from below. That should be the kind of pairing that you're looking for, although more often than not, you can often see an IQ doing things pretty much entirely by itself.
Well, Stigs is already in. This map control is ever so important for Fnatic. Time management has been the real, I guess, danger point for a lot of these APAC teams. Even the really strong ones like Cloud9, we've spoken about how long it's taken them to go for that defuse. So Fnatic don't want to fall behind here, especially when you've got shields to work with. You've got aggressive players as the Wamai there. And the more drones he's able to snag out, as you're seeing him slowly collect, the less intel Fnatic will have in the late game. And that's something that we've criticized a lot of these teams for.
Drones has been the big talking point for us in general, I think, over the last, few weeks, really. It feels like even in EU, we're looking at some teams and going, man, really good with drones. Empire, not so good with drones. G2. However, things are on the change, I guess, over there, as you probably will find the case to be here in APAC. Either way, as we hit that 90-second mark of the round, we're now starting to think around what the execution plan is for Fnatic. They've got themselves most of the control they need. They're up here in 90. They're at the top of landing as well. No one playing down inside a study by the looks of it, but I'm looking towards where Mag is right now and seeing that he's playing out below. He could be a massive part in trying to destroy this utility from below ahead of the SQ coming in. But right now, he's on drone duty. He's feeding that information across to his team.
They really don't have a lot of control here. No south stairs, no study, really one-dimensional. If Mag's going to solo this, it's really not the play. I'm glad he bailed because this one-dimensional north to south push here from Fnatic, it better pay dividends because you don't have the control you'd need for a pinch push. Now you're forcing yourself into a situation where I'm going to make the assumption they want to pinch over and then get a vault plant. And if they don't do a vault plant, then, or a vault door plant rather, for the default, then there's not really much they can do. And this is a late opportunity here to take study. I don't think it'll work, Des.
I'm very concerned as to why Mentalist has still got both his drones in back pocket as a support player. There you go, one comes out. I was going to say, surely his intent is to get on the balcony, get those drones out into key positions. Magnet going to find the opening kill onto Blackray, the 17-6 hero from a couple of weeks ago, I believe, against Xavier, where he went absolutely nuts in the second half of that map. With him being taken out as one of the kings of entry for this team, it makes total sense that they're going to start taking some damage. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that's a double C4 coming out of Irrigator as they tried to find their way in through the top of landing. A shotgun on the door, it becomes a triple kill. Mag bursts in to try and make it happen in a 1 versus 2. But sadly, too many members of Fnatic had already been removed. Good round coming out of Cyclops, especially from Irrigator with that shotgun and that C4.
That time management, we spoke about it before. I don't know what really happened with that extension with the mirror. We actually didn't catch that, and I was really focused on just seeing whether or not they do vertical play or not. But what it turned around to be was not really much of a time waster. They just ended up shooting through the wall consistently, getting drones in. Stigs took Astro control early, and it kind of looked like Fnatic had good map control early. Whatever happened to that was that, well, they actually went too one-dimensional, gave up on all of those key angles. A lot of people don't realize when you want to do a vault door plant, you must have study control, or you must have someone at least holding the angle over towards study who hits their damn shots. Mirror set up between sides. There was too much going on for Fnatic, and when you bring a buck, you kind of expect teams to be able to go underneath and maybe even displace some of those players, displace those mirrors. They didn't do that. They missed out on some core fundamentals. They lost the round because of it. And that kind of looked like a bit of an easy clap there for Cyclops.
I was going to hark back slightly to The issue that you have, and so many teams have when it comes to that clock running down to 0, you then start having to make mistakes. You have to start cutting corners, and for Fnatic, their cutting corner was 2 members trying to push in through landing at the same time into Aviator. And guess what? When you haven't baited out any of those C4s, you are going to walk headfirst into them. And Cyclops clearly acknowledged that that has been a key strength for them in that round, and think if we can keep on wasting time, or if we can just keep on sitting behind these C4s, why won't we continue to bring them? They've now got 3 coming in this round, along with the 1 shield coming out of the 1 Mai, as you come to expect. We have seen some teams lean towards playing Valkyrie with shields, but when you're trying to play vertically, as it looks like they are now, given there are some reinforcements going downstairs, I think we all know what's coming, Jess.
I'm really excited for teams that play heavy C4s. You can't rely on them when there's a lot of space to move around. And I think Cafe is one of those maps where you can't solely rely on C4s. There's too much ground to move around. But Villa, there's some tight rooms, bedroom, bathroom, etc., all breachable from below in some way, shape, or form. And as a result, those C4s become a lot more valuable. And I'm hoping to see some really good C4s pop off. I can't remember what game we watched, but over towards 90 in the end of Classical, someone threw up a double C4 at some point in stage 1. I don't know if it was APAC or EUL, but it just goes to show how much of an impact those explosives can have, especially when you're doing it from the safety of below.
Righty, round number 2, as you can see, Trophy and Statuary, where we are playing. Electrified walls coming out, so a big focus on that denial game. With the Thatcher being taken away, it's no surprise. Fnatic once again have doubled down on the strategy of bringing the Buck and the IQ together, so some focus going into those gadgets from below, no doubt. It's one thing I will always commend APAC teams for. I remember watching them on Theme Park and thinking, man, these guys are really good at dealing with gadgets from below. The pace at which they come in, I think it was Fav actually impressed me the most the first time I saw them, and we'll see them playing later on. They were a great example of getting inside in rapid time and inside 60 seconds, dealing with all electrification gadgets, ADSs, mute jammers, so on and so forth from below. They just knew what they were doing in the prep phase to get those drones in the right place. This time it's going to be Cyclops finding the opening kill. It was Mag onto Black Ray in the last round. Mentalist, the hard breacher, is down and out early.
What is... I'm confused. What is this? Why bring a Hibana if you just want to push through a door? Like... did they want to try and get a real quick pick onto Trophy and then maybe rotate to bedroom? But last time they did a late rotate, it was the last 30 seconds. They got absolutely crapped on because of it. I don't know what this one-dimensional, one-rounded push from Fnatic is here. Where's the rest of their players? They're just pushing in from one door.
They did change in last round and moved from having everyone up the north and moved Mentalist, as we saw, down to the south. But sadly, you're trying to push in through a doorway where there's a shotgun waiting, and it burns a little bit. They're going for a plant, and there's Irrigator down below with a C4 in hand. That should be a very dead Tex. Indeed, it will be. Didn't want to contest with any guns there. Happy to play behind the C4s. I mentioned that at the start of the round, and it has shone through for them here. That puts them into a 4 versus 2. You could say a 5v2, but it's a glorified 4 versus 2, given that Anderton is down. Lusty's aware there might be a flank on the way, so wants to try and contest on the downstairs, but there's no real reason here for Cyclops to go too crazy. But look at that C4. This is why he needs to contest. A great flash comes in, swings round and will find the kill, but there is no time left to do anything here. That is a near flawless round coming out of Cyclops. And Fnatic, as you say, a little bit one-dimensional. And that's the second time now that they haven't been concerned with mirror window, with C4s coming out potentially. They haven't dealt with the first few things on the enemy side in terms of baiting out utility, and they're paying the price in these couple of rounds.
I've worked it out. It took me a couple of rounds to work out what Fnatic are doing here on attack, but I've worked it out. The last game,
Please
Fnatic
reveal
v
to
Talon.
us the big brain jest that you know. Go on.
I big brain this. The last game, Fnatic v Talon. What did Fnatic do? Do you remember?
I'm hoping you'll be able to tell me.
Last game, they went straight onto site. Talon couldn't deny the plant at all. They completely one-dimensioned it, and they just focused on objective every single round, gave up on every other part of the map. Fnatic have come into this game and gone, hey, that worked so well last Playday against Talon, to the point where Talon had just looked like they weren't even tier 1 players at that point. They just walked in and got the plant down. They're trying to do that exact same thing here. And guess what? This is not Talon. This is not Consulate. This is Villa with a mirror and Cyclops you're going up against. I think they've misread the situation here. I think the boys have made a big oopsie here. This game plan is not going to work.
Now, what I will give is that Cyclops have been one of the scrappier teams so far in Stage 2. We said ourselves, they made it to the Major, they were in 6th place. It wasn't what we expected. Way back when APAC started, everyone thought it'd be Cyclops as a team that we were going to see finishing in the top 3, alongside the likes of Giants and, of course, Fnatic, who you're seeing playing now. That hasn't really come to be. The only team we've seen sit in those top 3 really is Giants quite consistently. The other two are now kind of scrapping to get their way there. But either way, You can't write Cyclops off. They still made it to the major. They're still a decent team, and yes, they've had a shaky start, but they will be able to play around these C4s well, as they have done so far. And looking at this round, I thought they were going to bring along these 4 impacts for a specific purpose, but they've already used 2, meaning that only the Alibi has got a couple left, and I'm keen to see where they choose to dedicate those.
That was a really aggressive run out from below, trying to snatch anyone running past off the spawn towards the east. No one did run past. That's probably because they were all a little bit delayed, making sure drones were all good over towards spawn. And it seems like this is sort of a mainstay here for Fnatic. They either enter from the south or they enter from the northeast, and there's no real, diversion away from that way of entering. Lusty already in. My only thought process here is that their pre-placed drones have been perfect. Fnatic have placed them in really key positions. It gets them into the map real quick and fast, and getting this top floor control is a must. Surely after 2 rounds, they've noticed this hasn't been working for them and making sure that they haven't been getting the vertical control some way, some form. I have a sneaky suspicion that what I said before is something they've identified as well. They're the tier 1 players here. They've got support staff around them who, quite frankly, can't say anything in mid-round, but that's something that all the players are going to be aware of now. So I expect the Buck to do Buck things this round.
Expect the Buck to do Buck things, and it's curious they bring along the Buck over the Sledge, given especially the site that we're headed to now. Could understand it for the others when you need to attack vertically, but the Sledge, as we all know, generally is a little bit stronger in these instances because of the frag grenades. The one big thing you get with the Buck, of course, is that safety at range, and maybe that's why you can see him dancing around on the concrete or on the bricks here. Does not want to get C4. To say that, they're going to throw a C4 an alternative path up potentially and try and catch them out, but Mag, a little bit safe as he's still back inside a master bedroom. So slow and paced out by Fnatic so far. C4 completely misaimed with no information upstairs. Clearly not helping them out in the slightest.
That's a free vertical hold there for Mag, and that's a free kill onto Suzuki. And now, look at that. You get vertical control, and all of a sudden, you're able to just completely displace all the defenders below. What a magical little mechanic that Siege has. Glad Fnatic have finally worked it out, but it took 2 sloppy rounds for them to work out. They're not against Talon. They're not against the team easily planted against. But good to see objective focus here, Des, because look what, Mentalist down again.
Lusty just vaults straight over and manages to kill one out towards red. That puts us into a 5 versus 2 in favor of Fnatic. Igator, the man of the hour, the man who's been so big in the last couple of rounds with those C4s, does strike big. Got to deal with the fact there is an air jab above him. He does see it out. Will shoot it out. Maybe not quite the best place one. But either way, kills are going to fly through for Fnatic, and that is the near flawless round that they were on the receiving end of in round number 2, dealt back against Cyclops.
I was really hypercritical of Fnatic's 2 first attacking rounds and saying, like, what is this? Like, why bring a Habana if you're not going to use it? Why do this? Why bring a Buck if you're not really going to use it? I mean, hypercritical of how they were playing. But I think when you look back at their last game and the way they took advantage of just getting straight on site, getting the plant down, and just ignoring what people would consider the 20-second meta to be, for example, and just going, we don't have to deal with this if you don't know how to deny the plant. Unfortunately, Cyclops, they know exactly what they want to do. They've got the C4s in hands ready to play. They've got really good intel as well, oftentimes, as to where these players are pushing from and how to deal with them. So now Fnatic's worked that out. They're playing a more strategic attacking round here, getting that vertical, and it's worked really well for them. And those pre-placed drones, I mean, Lusty was in the first 30 seconds. I mean, that's amazing. Yeah. He also got an entry off it as well. I'm not sure if that was because there was a drone looking at feet through trophy, but either way, really good round there for Fnatic. I feel a lot safer now here for Fnatic.
Based off Mag finding that 2k from above, the entry onto Gadarada for a start, and then find the second kill as well from above. The second being the smoke for me was the painful part. You lose that denial, and really when you saw the plant going down inside a site, you were like, well, guess what, guys? If there was a C4 left or a smoke here, this could be a very different story, but alas, not to be the case. Either way, let's call that the offside. It is that downstairs site, and often is why we'll see games go 4-2 here on the defensive half of Villa. We're going to head upstairs again into Aviator and Games, and a couple of changes being made by Cyclops, I think. In terms of actual setup, they've still got the mirror. It's still on that half wall being brought through, but you can see Gala going about opening up these shotgun holes in the floor, ready for these default plant positions. So that screams to me that once again, we are going to see vertical play coming out of Cyclops behind those 2 C4s they brought along. What I need to see change from Fnatic is less one-dimensional attacks on these upstairs sides. Forget about just going, take the north to attack the south and take the south to attack the north. Let's think about that vertical play. We've got the IQ, we've got the Buck, we can do work from below. Let's make it happen.
I really want to, and I hope Easy is listening to this, our beautiful observer. I want to see how they use that shield between both of the sides. I just want to make sure that if it does end up getting a bit of a play, that one just there, thank you. I want to see in which way it's used, whether it's towards Aviator or it's towards Bar. I think it can be used multifaceted. So later on in the round, would love to see that. Mentalist, hello? Mentalist? He's just running on in. Is this a crazy pinch onto the shield player? Who needs utility when you could just brute force your way in? Hello?
Well, that breaks the whole thing apart. They find a second onside of sight. In fact, no, it's a trade back. I thought they'd have collected that one, but they did not. Mag finds one onto Anaton elsewhere, so things aren't looking bad for them. They have got control, but Cyclops has stabilized a little bit here. No doubt Panic Stations, as that hold that normally takes a long time on those south stairs, is now going to have to be dedicated to being committed to with the smoke. We are out of smoke canisters in their entirety. Fnatic have well and truly caught them with their pants down, but here comes Cyclops on the roam. Good adaptation to deal with the aggression, and now the round resets to whereabouts it should be. Fnatic have got control of south stairs, but once again, Cyclops are back in control of 90 corridor and the corridor outside of the site.
I mean, I criticize them for not dealing with a lot of the utility that the defenders were putting up, but if you can deal with it like that, I mean, who was it behind there? Black Ray. He just knew that he was getting run at from two different angles there. What can you do at that point in time? I mean, Jesus Lord, that's a great way to deal with it. It does rely a lot on frags, of course, but that's okay because for the most part, they've evened the number count out there. And now for Cyclops here, the biggest thing for them is that they've used all of their smoke babes. They used their plant denial here. Not sure if A-Gator still has a C4 in hand or not, but either way now, they're just trying to dwindle the time. Yes, they do. So still one C4 in hand. That'll be the big play here. Otherwise, it's up to the gun skill of both of these teams.
I thought it's all drawn to a pause. The last 60 seconds have been near silence. And now we go into those final 30 seconds. Fnatic have now got to pick up the pace once again. But a couple of times they've been stung as it comes around to the closing seconds. It's come down to C4 play. It has come down to shotgun play. They might have to rely on that once again. You still got the smoke left alive with no smoke canisters and the 1 on sight. Both a bullet away from death. There isn't much keeping them in this, and there we go. 2 bullets come out of nowhere, kill the side of Cyclops, and Fnatic take round number 4. So although it got a bit scrappy and a little bit silent going into the final 90 seconds of the round or so, the advantage they'd already drawn for themselves, the smoke canisters they burnt through, meant there were no stall tactics left in the dying seconds.
I truly think that Fnatic probably should not have won that round. Especially when you even the number count and you're on defense and you're dwindling down to the last 30 seconds. I often think that teams, especially on defense, should not continue to throw bodies at a team that's shown a heavy amount of aggressiveness. Fnatic came in, decided that they wanted to hit site and hit it fast. They obviously have pre-placed drones. We've really got to commend them on this. But they lost a lot of players in doing so. They were able to even the number count. And that's hard to do after a really aggressive push. Cyclops, I think, misread the situation, peeked out towards multiple of those players, unnecessarily throwing their lives rather than waiting for the plant denial. So either way here, Fnatic getting a few of those attacking rounds, or rather a couple of those attacking rounds. If they win the next one, this bodes really well for them moving on to defense.
Absolutely. So let's see how it shapes up. I mean, 2 rounds back-to-back for Fnatic after what were a very solid couple of rounds out of Cyclops is not so much surprising, but at least shows that Fnatic are adapting. They're dealing with the kind of thing that Cyclops are throwing at them. They haven't found those C4 kills. There's nothing horrific to catch them out with, liking seeing that change out coming so far. This round, once more, nothing really worth shouting home about. We're going to see more C4 play from below, I'd expect, with 3 C4s, Valkyrie, Bandit, and Mute. Am I correct on that? We look at the extended overlay. Yes, we can. There we go. There's the 3 that I thought we had last time. Okay, so again from Fnatic, downstairs play. Get those drones downstairs, catch up where they're playing, and deal with that problem early.
C4 is below, but surely Fnatic know it now. They've done this before. They have absolutely been decimated from C4s. I think Mentalist was the one that got C4 during the plant last time they played or attacked this site. So I want to see them push below. But Cyclops are doing a multifaceted extended hold here. They're extending all the way out towards Aviator, and they've also got a below hold with C4s. That's a lot of spread outness on this particular map. It's a huge map. You can get caught off very easy, and Stigs gets caught out himself. I think the big thing here, Des, is that if Cyclops don't hit their shots, they leave a lot of members really wanting on the defense there, when they're already spread out all over the map.
I always have a nice little chuckle to myself when Nomad's the first one to die, given her job is meant to be this prevention of aggression coming out from the other side. They shouldn't be able to push through doorways, push through rotates and trying to bring you down. Admittedly, in that case, wouldn't have helped very much, given you aren't going to stick an air jab just inside of Aviator, just in case someone's there. But that is 2 kills coming back the other way very quickly and very comfortably. Fnatic are now at a pretty big numbers disadvantage, and given in the last round it was a 5 versus 3, and Cyclops brought it back to a 3 versus 3, this is where I worry a little bit, especially given that this season's hero in Lusty has been taken down pretty easily and comfortably at the start of the rounds.
Oh no, yeah, you speak about Lusty. He's been a big key player for Fnatic. We absolutely cannot deny. One of the highest rated players for Fnatic over both stages, let's be frank. He's had a really decent run. Stage 1 not so good as stage 2, but we still can't underplay that. And now as we reach sort of the 60-second mark, what I want to see from Fnatic now is that you've lost a couple of numbers. You need to be able to recollect yourself, stay cool, calm, and collected. I dare I say, I would like to see Fnatic open 1 wall, 1 stairs. That's it. Just 1 wall. 1 hard wall, just once for me. That's it.
It's been tough. I mean, again, this is what we keep on harping about the IQ in the buck. Is like, Mag yet again is downstairs like he was back in round number 1, yet the walls aren't being broken up from below. They aren't removing those gadgets. It makes it impossible to open for Mentalist. And trading that between Mag's ineffectiveness at destroying things from below and also the play from Mentalist dying early quite a lot, it's come back to sting them. That being said, as you can see, there is no electrification on this master wall, but no real big focus on getting that open, it seems, for now. They're going for the same Hail Mary play as before. My slight concern is that you could get C4 from below as you've got 2 C4 players downstairs. Blackgrave finds another. They're being caught out. On this side twice now in a moment. They've come down to trying to get through Master. There's nothing left, and a great... Cool guys don't even look at Explosion Tire Gates. A beautiful close out to the round onto Fnatic. This has just been cozy. This site, I actually think, has been their strongest so far.
I mean, it's not hard to be your strongest if you've got 2 C4 players sitting below, almost uncontested both rounds. You know, the only contention they had that round was a buck moving in from Bicycle. Now, don't mean to be rude here, but if you've got 2 players below, and as we're having a rehost real quick, you'll probably pop back to our faces. When you've got 2 C4 players below, yeah, you keep doing that every Playday.
It's because I slouch during the game. I'm just like, comfy chair, rather than being up here like a
to all the viewers right now, posture check. A posture check is when you are, if you're sitting in your chair, everyone must check their posture. Sit up, pop your diaphragm out a little bit, shoulders back a little bit, and then slowly relax your shoulders down, but you can feel your spine have a little curve in it. And that's a good posture. There you go, posture check.
I feel at peace and with Zen. There we go.
Good.
I'm comfortable now. Thanks, Jess.
How do you feel about Fnatic? Especially on my point about the fact that they've just really not opened any walls. The only vertical play they really ever did was that round they won quite comfortably, getting the plant down over on Kitchen. That's the only round I felt confident here.
I feel like you've relaxed me, and then this is now turning into a psychology session where it's just like, so talk to me. How do you feel about Fnatic? What does the name Fnatic make you feel? Again, the one thing, I'll go back to the word that we've both used a lot, is quite literally one-dimensional, right? Yeah. And the thing is, they're bringing tools that suggest they aren't going to be one-dimensional. And I don't know if there's a game plan here that I'm missing out on entirely, but that book, to me, the only reason you are bringing that on the attacks when you're going onto the upstairs sites is to open up that floor from below. Now, given they are coming up against 1 or 2 players on Cyclops, and if they lose members early Fnatic, they simply don't have the manpower to go and clear out downstairs, get back upstairs, clear out top floor, and then go for the execute onto site. I appreciate that, and this is good work on Cyclops. That last round, the only reason they won in my mind was because they got up very early, got super aggressive onto Fnatic, killed 2 members, and left them without enough resource to actually make it happen. They were forced to break into trophy again. But it's good to see the 2 teams kind of back and forthing against each other here. That's what makes it an interesting game.
Yeah, that's what you want. You want equally skilled teams, and I think both teams are showing their skill on multiple different levels. I was worried for Cyclops. I said they were really stretched thin that round. You put 2 people over Aviator, put them over towards Bar, etc., Classical, with no reinforcements, because let's be frank, they had to use them below and they had to use them on site because they were doing a below hold, an on-site hold, and an extended roam hold as well. You're stretching yourself so very thin that if you lose even just 1 or 2 corners of that entire setup, you've left almost nothing on site. No reinforcements, no ability for players to be able to rotate back because they're all dead at that point, and they died without being able to either stall out time or take an impact kill. Luckily, we saw a couple of really good impact kills, that Jaeger absolutely popping off, so that's good. But you always do that, what if they didn't hit their shot? You know, what if they went down without that impact? How could it have been different? Maybe Mag could have had some reinforcements to take on below. I get it. I can understand what the game plan was there. But yeah, I don't want to keep seeing Hibana and no walls getting open. I don't want to see a buck and no floors getting open. You know, that one round just seemed like it.
And not at all to completely harp on Fnatic 24/7 either. Like, Cyclops are playing this well. That's the one thing I do really want to stress, is for a team that have been a bit shaky at this stage again, we've seen occasional moments of brilliance, but never really great consistency from them. It's really good to see them playing at the level they are. The thing is, the way we're speaking about this, if people heard us speaking about Fnatic this way and heard us talking around Cyclops how we just did, you'd assume you're sitting here looking at a 4-1 scoreline. Let's not forget, it's 3-2. It's still pretty close. It is still 2 attacking rounds for Fnatic on Villa. That is not a bad outcome to have going into the second half.
Yeah, and I said before, if you get even just one more, you're walking away with so much of a lead. I'm trying to work out that, you are really walking away laughing. I mean, we've only got 4 play days of stage 2 to look over from Villa from a statistical standpoint. And if you look over it, it's only slightly defender side of 52%. So it's probably a pretty medium map for a lot of these teams. APAC attack, so maybe that's 10% less because APAC is just, you know, a more attacking sided region as a whole. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's 50-50.
I really want to say that is skewed by who played it and got like 5 attacking rounds. I want to say it was Scars, but I might be wrong. I know they played it against Fab, and that was a balance map. I think that was 4-2 apiece. But I remember one particular team played it, and there were like 5 attacking rounds one, and I was like, right, that's definitely going to completely ruin the stats for this map. Thanks, guys. But hey, we're back now. It's 52%. It's not the most defender-sided map in the region. For a region that is pretty attacker-sided anyway. Go figure. Back in game then. Final round of the half. Aviator gains, where we are going to look to close things out. Given Fnatic won it 2 rounds ago, it makes total sense that we would see Cyclops go back to this site rather than playing on the offsite of Dining Room once again. In the last round we were here, we saw that crazy weird rush coming out of Fnatic where they got those couple of kills down to the south. They broke open that hole in the south stairs, and it gave them so much time to play with. Although we both did clock, it took them about 60 seconds then to really become free enough to actually go for the execute into the site and eventually find those closing 3 kills.
I mean, how do you analyze a round like that? You know what I mean? We're getting exactly the same setup here from some Cyclops. BlackRay will obviously have his shield set up in exactly the same spot. Yet again, we'll have that, hopefully that shield set up there. There we go, that back to front shield. Thank you very much. And I want to see whether or not Fnatic just completely negate it again and they just go around it, or if they just go, all right, we're going to play this time. We've got the 2 Wamidis. I love this really methodical setup from Cyclops, especially at top souths, top main stairs. Always 2 Wamidis, still those magnets above the door. The shield, the double ADS, they've got the barb on the stairs in case someone rushes up again. I mean, this time I reckon Suzuki will probably have help from BlackRay, so there'll be a double person there to deal with this. And Aegator, there we go, will open up the vertical holes to help anyone pushing up the stairs. Love the setup. Don't know what Fnatic are going to do this time because they can't do the same they did last time.
Danaton being the hero by himself up to the north, just ready to stave off any aggressors into the fortress that is Villa. Now, ideally, in this case with him, you would try and keep him alive for a little bit longer, rotate back to site when you realise that maybe Fnatic are being a bit slow about things. They're playing behind the drones. And I thought maybe we'd see a mute general or 2 committed up top side, but given there are 3 ways you could possibly get drones in, I guess there's less of a reliance there and thinking drones are going to do the hard yards for us. So back to site he will go, and still going to force utility out of the side of Fnatic. Even with the drone game, which could have told them, this is clear, no one's there. They still commit the Hibana X Kairos onto the mirror.
Yeah, a simple drone could have ascertained that no one was on the mirror, but that's okay for the most part because, I mean, Fnatic hasn't really committed to opening any site walls anyway, so maybe that's not part of what they're looking to do. I do worry because Aviator as a whole should be opened up in some way, shape or form. Even 1 X-Cairo line on the vault wall, I would hope that a team sort of opens up to give them a little bit of leverage if they can get it opened up. And now you can see Mag, 90 window, Mentalist rotating around, but then he goes from below or study. We will see. There we go. He might even join Mag to get the vault wall open as I was speaking about. And I hope that's the play here because there should only be a mute jammer on it, so that's easily disposed of below. And I don't see any Cyclops players below.
No, I guess this is where there's been a bit of droning on the downstairs, or also watching of these rotates coming out from Stigs with those air jabs, just being mindful of the aggressive plays that could come out later. And for Cyclops, as you say, the vertical play has been massive for them time and time again. Here, they seem to care far less, and they're convinced they can actually beat Fnatic in a straight-up gunfight, and they've already brought down Mag on 90 window on that buck. He was on drones for them. That's going to be quite painful to lose.
You know what? That was from the vertical hole underneath Billiard's table. I'm sorry, but if you're Fnatic, you don't know that's going to happen. No drone works that. Does he get another one? Oh, look at that. That tiny hole. See all of the tiny vertical holes they've been using? If you're a drone, You're not going to spot that out. That's not something you're always going to be able to get. No wonder he died to that. That was dirty.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we'd see the big holes opened up once again by Gadarada, but actually I think they've left the defaults closed up this time, interestingly, so maybe more of a reliance behind wanting to play on C4s later into the round. He's going to swing out and find one up on 90, and now Mentalist is going to have to try and recapitalize. Turns out there's one on the stairs. Good swing and finds one, but guess what? They're falling like dominoes here, Jess. Cyclops take round number 6. That's going to be that 4-2 half scoreline, and I think despite a couple of rounds of Fnatic, Cyclops have looked good. But as we all know, there are 2 halves to a game of Siege. Really excited to see how it does now that we get to see Fnatic going onto the defense.
I'm so upset because I was so critical of them not taking the buck below, opening things up. And then Mag says, okay, no problems. I'm going to go below. And then he goes below and gets absolutely slapped off this earth by a ridiculous vertical hole underneath a billiards table. I mean... No wonder they didn't want to go get those verticals before. That was horrific. He did try, ended up that the IQ went below and dispatched of that mute jammer. Anyway, it wasn't a really hard spot to shoot, so it did take up a bit of time. But for the most part now, Cyclops, 4 defensive rounds, they move on to attack. How is this boding for them statistically? On attack? Well... I'll be honest, not so good here, Des. They've won an attacking round onto Aviator once, and onto Statue only twice.
Sample size there, Jess.
2 games. Better than Fnatic's 1.
Yeah, okay, fine. It's not really a large sample size. We'll take it. It's more than 1. It's something. See how well they fare once this round gets underway. The Mirror got 6 picked out, as we saw, as did the Monty. I thought there was a bit of fear that we'd see that come charging through, and Cyclops were going to just sit behind a Monty, use that to brute force their way into sight and go for a plan. The one thing I want to keep a very close eye on here, one is the extended roam game coming out from Fnatic. How much damage can they do early to try and catch out that hard breach or a key member of the other side? And 2, what are we actually going to see coming out of Cyclops? Is it going to be a trophy door push once again, like we saw coming out of Fnatic, where they get C4'd from below? Or have they got something more creative in mind?
Well, we'll see. I think Tex is trying to recreate what happened over towards Study last time against them. A little bit of Jaeger, Carbine, peppering shots over towards Study, and I believe it was Stiggs who went down. And, oh, this has been quite a vicious game for Mentalist. He's not had the best of rounds, and the Go-Yo going down, it doesn't particularly mean much. He may have had a C4 in hand, so that's probably the only loss there. He would have already placed his shields down, so it's okay. And Tex, well, he's not going to be able to hold off Aviator for long, and even he's going to rotate back quite early.
Bit of a failed extended hold, I think. 45 seconds of time wasted, and you've lost a member during that time. Maybe if you turn it into a 90-second hold, then it's worth it. But half that time, yikes. Does hurt, and you potentially also lose the C4 that I believe Mentalist was carrying around with him too. So that'll be missing for the rest of the round. Let's see how the rest of it plays out. Still 2 minutes to play, so time to play with here for Cyclops, but Fnatic not down and out yet, given they've still got a C4 to play behind. They've got the smoke canisters, and Cyclops is still struggling down to the south here, just to make sure everything is droned out and all these rotates are opened up. Save them trying to restrict themselves, going through single doorways and being caught out by Fnatic in crossfires.
We almost always see players having these double magnets, especially in this game. Fnatic's repping it as well, where they'll throw those double magnets up above a shield, that extra layer of safety, plus an ADS. It's really hard to deal with that. You'll see the flashes start to rain through, and one's actually been wasted. I'm not sure where they got wasted, but how unfortunate. And now Tex's hold position, which was being fortified by 2 magnets, an ADS and a Go-Go shield, gets absolutely displaced by 1 X-Cairo set. That's how you get around it.
Where did Leslie just find that kill? I think he was downstairs and found a kill onto someone. Maybe there was someone on the side of Cyclops looking to play downstairs.
Body, where are you?
He's hidden it. It's concealed. No one will ever know the crime because it can't be seen anymore. Either way, it's a kill to bring things back to 4-on-4, and it's Black Ray has been taken down again. One of those players that I'll always harp on about. Had some incredible games this season so far. Strictly enough and consistently enough to drag his team over the finish line all the time? No. But still one to be afraid of if he is on his day. First bit of denial comes out with a greatly placed smoke canister coming out, ringing straight down into the corridor. And Cyclops will be delayed here. Bearing in mind there's 30 seconds on the clock and they've still got a couple more canisters to throw out. This could be really painful against Cyclops, but Gatto potentially looking for a flank. Shield being taken out from the back, and that will remove the smoke player from sitting behind there safely. Good play coming out of Cyclops, but I worry about the fact that there are only 15 seconds left on the clock. There's one on window. No doubt going to be the Zofia playing around the bottom of stairs. The smoke canister comes out. Suzuki does find the kill. It's traded back by Lusty once more in this round to 3 versus 3. 3 seconds remain. 2 kills coming in. The plant is finally going down. Can Stiggs find the planter? I don't think he will in time. We'll try and go for it. They have no idea where he is. Surely they know where the plant's going down. They do not. A 1 versus 2 for Stiggs. He's against 2 very low health members. He can do this as long as he finds his man before they find him. Angles being held, 35 seconds to play with. They know where he is. The shot connects, but it's not a kill for Annington. But it does level the playing field ever so slightly. Inside he comes and the crossfire is there. They do trade things out. The Cyclops with the diffuser down and 1 man left will collect themselves around. That's 3 back-to-back.
Just trying to collect myself after that round. It was just crazy. Cyclops were down on time. I really thought that Fnatic had that round, especially with the setup that they had. Even though Wolf Wall was opened up, they had that line of sight over towards the Go Shield, and they were pushed back again earlier than I think they wanted to be. They just went completely around the ADSs, the magnets, all the utility that a lot of these players complain about, let's be frank. They just decided to just circumvent it the same way that Fnatic had done as well. So I think both teams are working around what they're seeing well, but it's coming down to these last rushed entries onto site. I'm glad the plant went down because I don't want to see it just turn into a frag fest, and it didn't. So that was really good to see. And now that we move on to what could potentially be a match point round here for Cyclops, their attack on the Aviator, at least statistically, hasn't boded well for them. But when you win trophy, and you're on the attack for the most part, you can feel pretty confident coming into this site that if you play that same methodical way, it might work again.
Well, the extended hold in the last round didn't work out so well for them. Here, it's not an extended hold, but the main hold now that we're down on the south of the map. And for Cyclops, I want to see if they adopt the approach that we saw coming out of Fnatic. Starting up on the north, and looking to rotate down to the south balcony a little bit later on and going in through study. Do they walk into a double C4 kill coming out the other side? Heaven knows. For Fnatic, I'm worrying about that vertical play and saying, is that really going to be a thing for them? Because for Cyclops, it was a massive part of their round despite coming up against the Buck. Maybe that was part of why they chose to play so vertically, is the worry about, well, he's going to try and destroy the floor. Let's go and contest him downstairs and play behind C4s. That's going to force him to come to us. We're confident we can kill him. And that left Magnet playing on drones for pretty much the entirety of that first half. But look at this, Jess. There are a couple of members holding up towards the north here. That's a pretty aggressive setup.
Is that 3 reinforcements invested over there? Yeah, it is. And on a site like Aviator, okay, granted, they're going to open up a half wall on Aviator wall. That's a lot of investment over that side. They have spread themselves thin the same way that Cyclops had. Looks like Lusty just wants to do a marathon around the map as well, so he needs to make sure none of those drones are spotting him out as he does run around. And I think for the most part, Cyclops want to be able to shut these roamers off pretty quickly. They actually have connected control. Where were all the players that were playing above before? Where did all that investment go? Why invest and not hold?
Well, you saw the mute, like, peace out over the balcony down into red corridor, rotating back to side. The Valkyrie worked its way down red stairs. They were all just like, okay, yep, we did start here, but I think there's too many drones crawling around. We're not feeling confident about this anymore. Let's peace the hell out and get back to safety. They know that Tex is still on red stairs, and Black Ray has known about this for a while. He's been sat in Wolf just waiting and ready for someone to come pushing in, and alas, no one actually has so far. So keep a close eye on that one. If Tex tries to go too aggressive, might find himself snapped out, but no, it's Lusty going down first. Anderton breaks his neck with a bullet. That's the opening kill for them. The second one flying through very soon after. And Black Ray actually, rather than sitting inside of Wolf, was rotating himself all the way down and found a kill from below. So despite knowing that Tex had a move, thought this is the time for me to go pretty creative about this and bring it into a 5 versus 3.
Oh no, you invested so much on this roam, you didn't even hold it, and then when you moved back, it didn't even work for you. That's the biggest shame here for Fnatic, but Mentalist is desperately trying to even out the numbers, as you should, and my goodness, was that one tiny bullet hole, a little break in the barricade? Yes. Mentalist could not have known that, and he'll get caught off on the rotate. Great positioning there from Cyclops, even though a lot of the action was happening on the other side of the map.
Yeah, but good patience as well, because I know as that clock hits that 60-second mark, you start thinking it's time for me to rotate towards site now. It's time for me to go and join in the fight. Sadly, this fight wasn't very long-lived. 2 kills fly out for Cyclops in the closing seconds, and they take round number 8. And guess what, Jess? Looks like Cyclops, now that they're at match point, might be about to beat Fnatic here on Villa.
My predictions, no. Did you predict Fnatic or Cyclops?
I predicted Fnatic, so don't worry, you're not alone. Don't tell me you predicted Cyclops now.
No, I predicted Fnatic. I did. Hence, I'm a little bit worried about my predictions thus far, especially when you got Statman Hap to go up against.
Look, the way to deal with predictions is to just not care anymore. That's the way to play.
You know what? I'm going to have to check my percentage at the end of the day, ask production what's going on with my score, whether or not I even have one left anymore. The big thing for me is that I said about Fnatic, after their first Playday, I said it was too early to say whether or not they were fully back. Because Coastline was a map I've seen Fnatic be confident on for years. I know they've got new players now, a brand new roster, but for years, that's been a map they've really favored. And now, moving on throughout stage 2, they've looked shaky. Time and time again, a bit of shakiness, up, down, looking really strong, then looking a bit weak. Getting onto this particular map here of Villa, it just makes me think of that game all the way back in stage 1. Don't know who it was against, but they played Clubhouse, and their one-dimensional attacks absolutely ruined their chance of winning that map. I wonder if those 2 rounds where we saw those one-dimensional attacks really detract from their scoreline might be why we're seeing such a dominant scoreline here from Cyclops. It's a guess. You don't know for sure, but look at this adaptation. Yay, Fnatic, I'm proud of you.
You're also missing something else, Jess.
What?
What else catches your attention on the screen right now?
Oh, CCC, let's go, bro. Let's go.
Okay, so if you want to be able to break apart a setup and be able to, well, burn through quite a few ADSs and those homages, you have the option available with the fuse. Now, it's not always going to be the most effective. Normally, you can shoot it out once you see that pipe come sticking through a soft window or soft wall and be like, hey, I know how to deal with this one. And given it is the upstairs site, there will be no vertical play. There will be no destruction from above, death from above, as they go to say. You're more looking here towards something like sticking it in a wall and hoping for the very best. Or at the very least, if there is something like a hole inside a closet coming out, pop it open nice and easy.
If they pair one of these fuse charges with an EE1D, I'm going to cry. I'm honestly, and if I'm Fnatic, I cry as well because that's ridiculous. They're actually fortunate that none of the windows lead pretty much directly onto site. That's their only saving grace here, let's be frank. I don't think there's any soft walls they can plug it into either. So that's going to be the one thing I think really saves them. Probably the most creative way on this site you can use fuse, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but stand with me here, is that when they go for the plant, they put a fuse charge so that no one can see fall below. That's the only thing I can think of.
That is a good shout. I mean, admittedly for Fnatic, C4s haven't been a massive part of their defense. It's the kind of thing you might think that Fnatic would be creative enough to employ, but give it time, maybe we'll see some come out. The C4s from Fnatic so far have been going the same way that they were in the early rounds of Cyclops, where you're more looking to go horizontally than strictly from below. But let's keep a close eye on where the members play and what it is that they are looking to do. Gatto playing on the south stairs must know surely that Mentalist is pushing him, or at least knows that he's lurking around. Apparently not is the answer, as he has yet to actually move.
I think he's holding that angle to make sure that no one flanks. He's on flank watch here. There's no nomad in place. Someone has to either physically be there or on a drone, so you lose one of your attacking players, whilst the rest of Cyclops is focusing on the bedroom. This is something Fnatic didn't do. This is something I'm glad Cyclops is doing. They've got the Hibana, they've got grenades to be able to deal with that wall denial. Biggest thing here is that I actually think Suzuki won't be quite as helpful as he otherwise could be. And there goes the first EE1D. For the most part, I think it was just trying to see whether or not anyone would move and spot their positions. It wasn't really acted upon. And we've got less than 60 seconds left. In fact, we've got 45 seconds left, and I don't even think they've got the wall open.
Nope, and looking at drones as well, they have 2 left alive, but Stiggs gets banged out by Anderton nice and early. That is the one I removed. Not really the worst thing in the world given the stage that we're currently at, and that is in the closing seconds. Many of those magnets will already be out. Speaking of Magnet, now known as Mag, or the artist formerly known as Magnet with a shotgun, is trying to paint the walls red with the blood of Cyclops as they push in through bathroom, but it's Blackray who's going to use his own blood to go painting. Magnet gets sprayed down from below. That's Blackray's second big rotate into the closing seconds, and as it all pops off, it comes to a 3 versus 3 with 15 seconds to go. That Lion scan came through. Gatto finds another. It's a 2 versus 3 for Fnatic. Can they hold on? One more goes down. There's one more inside a trophy. 5 seconds to go. Can they keep this one going? Even going to try and get him up. Ready for this post-plant situation. They've managed to pull it off thanks to that down that came out. It's a 2 versus 2. And Fnatic are on their last legs. There is a single drone left alive for Cyclops. No doubt holding a flank somewhere. Just being mindful of where we're going to see Fnatic push from as this timer wears down. They've got about 20 seconds to kill the 2 members and get the defuse fuse off, it's a tall order. Tex still on full HP, pushing his way up Astro. They know at this point. There's bullets singing in his general direction. Swings round, but no way does he find that kill. Brings down Irrigator. A 1 versus 2 for Annington. He finds one. It's a 1 versus 1. He's going to collect the 1 versus 2, and Cyclops are going to collect a very decisive victory, not dropping a single round in the second half there. What a performance by them, and a way to show don't write us off yet. And Villa is our own backyard.
That was a brilliant end to a match. And you know what? Quite a befitting end that Annington was the one to clutch out that 1v2 post player, because let's be frank, I don't know how many opening kills he got there on Fnatic, but he got a damn lot. 8-0 after the rehost. 8-0. That's an 8 KD, not even taking into account the kills that he got before the rehost happened. Almost every single entry kill from Cyclops was from Annington. It was either on Stigs or Mental, so whoever it was that was going to be the victim of him. And wow, what a there. A little bit of a drawing board moment for Fnatic, I think. There's a lot of things they can look back on and go, hang on, we can't employ the same strategy to every team. And I think that's something that really made them fall short.
What I love was coming into stage 2, we saw them break out of that one-dimensional playstyle and really start looking like a top-tier team again with their first few results. But today, it did look a little bit one-dimensional. It did look a little bit confused with the comps they were bringing. It didn't always line up with what they were trying to achieve or the gameplay they tried to bring out. Either way, let's go over to the desk and get their thoughts on what has been a very thrilling fixture for Cyclops.
Thanks so much, my lady and gentlemen. Yes, so indeed, we are back